6, we're back again. Kristi and Katie, your crime time friends. Stories, justice, laughs collide. True Crime Squad, come join the ride. Grab the clues, let's take a stand. For victims' voices, hand in hand. True Crime Squad, it's time to shine. Season 6, your turn, your time. True Crime Squad, where justice meets hilarity.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver, here with my sister, co-host, and finally showing up, sister and partner in crime, Kristi Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey everybody.
She was
Sorry.
here. She just forgot to put herself on.
I forgot to click a button. I was really busy looking for the right Bryan Kohberger picture to use.
Well, as you probably know, Idaho is very much not okay. And also the huge Bryan Kohberger news. We're going to talk about all of it.
Yeah.
But before we do that, we have some news. And we have been busting our butts to get our merch store up and running and get some great graphics and stuff going in there. So we have a ton to show you. We're very excited.
Yes, we do.
So you can find our merch store by just going over to truecrimesquad.com. And that's like a link tree. And so you'll find all of our links for different things and you'll see our merch store there. So all you have to do is click on that and then you'll find our store. I put a link in the chat room as well. But I just wanted to show you around a little bit. We have some fun stuff going on. We have a whole bunch of new stickers.
Yeah.
These are things you've all been asking for. Just get a divorce. A punching pillow. Most of these
actual
graphics.
Pillow?
Yes. Well, that's a sticker, but yes, we have it as a pillow. Most of these graphics you can get as a sticker, a magnet, a mug, a t-shirt. The punching pillow, there is an actual pillow. So we've already ordered ours. We're going to be punching those pillows damn soon. The evidence will show. Grab your clutching pearls. Stable genius. That's my favorite. I just knew it had to be a blobfish.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Listen, this is a warning for anyone who ever needs a reminder. He's not cute, he's a criminal. We don't date inmates.
Yes.
Ladies, we don't date inmates.
For the love of everything, quit fucking doing this.
You have to stop. We have 2 different Don't Flatter Yourself stickers and an Are You Done? Thank you, Judge Boreski.
May I please point out how much better Katie's Don't Flatter Yourself sticker is than my Don't Flatter Yourself sticker.
Not better, just different. And then a lot of our other old stickers that we've had in the past. And these are all of our new graphics, so you can find them in all kinds of different ways. So,
yes.
Yep. Super, super fun. And we're very excited to have that launched and rolled out. So at any rate, you can check it out.
We sure are. And we're really trying to get some things in there that you all have asked for. Because
the punching pillow, I'm so excited for.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. Will there be sticker packs like the ones? I don't know if we can do them. I haven't yet figured out if there's a way to do a sticker pack. Everything I've seen on there, they have to be individual.
Individual, I think so.
So it might be. It's a different way of doing them than what we've done before. So
yeah. So there you go. Super fun. And again, if you want to look at the merch store, just go to truecrimesquad.com. Our link for it is right there. Super easy to find.
Yes.
So let's get into it. So yesterday afternoon, we were in my front yard eating sandwiches and drinking huckleberry lemonades and cake and celebrating my birthday. And as we're sitting around chatting, some news started rolling in from Northern Idaho. That was terrifying. And that was that there were firefighters trying to fight a brush fire in Coeur d'Alene. And yes, Coeur d'Alene is how it's pronounced. You have heard it a lot of different ways on the news that have been pretty creative, but
shockingly
it's just
wrong.
Coeur d'Alene.
And it does get abbreviated to CDA, which sometimes helps people because we know it's an awkward name.
It's an awkward name, and man, I have heard some doozies on the news the last couple of days.
Oh
Holy
my
cow.
gosh, I have been like, what the hell? Like, go look it up. It's French, okay? It's French.
Codulon, and yeah, it's wild. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
Coeur d'Alene is in northern Idaho. It's about 30 miles from Spokane, Washington. It's right up there near Moscow, where the
Mm-hmm.
Bryan Kohberger murders happened. These are a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of fairly small communities that are really close together. Oh, well, Spokane's not that small, but at
Yeah.
any rate, yesterday afternoon, there was a 911 call saying that there looked like there was a brush fire burning in up in the hills up above Coeur d'Alene. And Coeur d'Alene it's at the base of a mountain, and there's a lake there. There's Coeur d'Alene Lake, and I have a picture. I don't know why it's not up. Uh, it's a really, really beautiful place. Coeur d'Alene is a stunningly beautiful place.
People come from all over the world to go to Coeur d'Alene and Coeur d'Alene Lake and
Yeah,
just, yeah.
yeah, for good reason. We've both been to Coeur d'Alene. I don't know how many times. Idaho times. But it's a beautiful, beautiful place. Coeur d'Alene has a history of some white supremacy and some challenges that happened there. And in fact, and we talked not too long ago about the Hayden Lake incident that happened in Coeur d'Alene.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday, the 29th, and I don't know that it's actually significant, but is actually the date that they burned down the Hayden Lake compound,
Oh, that's right.
which does seem sort of weird. But I don't know that
Yeah.
that really has anything to do with this at all. But they have a fairly checkered past because of that. However, there's a lot of wonderful people that live in that area that, just love living in Idaho and love living in such a beautiful place that just
And that are
unfortunately just,
fighting desperately to take their community back and
yeah,
make this not a hideous place.
yeah. So this is what was happening. Here's the lake, the mountain. You can see the smoke coming up. So, of course, the firefighters are called out. And fires like this, brush fires, forest fires around here in this area, not uncommon. It's also fireworks season, so not uncommon at all, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so they dispatch fire. And not too long after they did, this 911 call comes in.
You get an ETA on Wi-Fi placement. Then immediately up here, we've got two unresponsive battalion chiefs, gunshot wounds, multiple gunshot wounds. Two Coeur d'Alene firefighters are down. I copy on two unresponsive battalion chiefs. One was in Senior, so please again. Unfortunately, get up here, we could possibly get the two wounded out. I'm pinned down behind Battalion 1's rig. It's clear to me that this fire was then intentionally to draw us in. I copy. Do you want Wi-Fi to launch? 100% sure where they would land. I think they need to be prepared to launch. Yeah, they're prepared to launch. Go on, go, Senate. Sorry, dispatching 4 ambulances.
And that was just one of the calls. There's actually quite a few
Yes.
that came in. There's one other that I had.
Please again. We need law enforcement to get up here. We could possibly get the two wounded out. I'm pinned down behind Battalion 1's rig. It's clear to me that this fire was set intentionally to draw us in.
So they feel like pretty immediately. And what we learn later is that when they got up to where this fire's at, there was this man there, this 20-year-old kid, whose vehicle was parked in a place they needed it to be moved from. And they had a bit of I wouldn't even say a skirmish, they had words with him. They did eventually push his car down over an embankment, trying to get it out of the way because they were trying to fight this fire. And now we know, of course, that he actually is the one that fired upon them. So they don't know they're in a fire. There's smoke, there's chaos. The trees up there are extremely thick. And there's fire coming at the firemen. Firemen are not trained to be shot at. They're trained to fight fires. They are unproblematic. They're not the bad guys. No one is. But they're not usually the ones that there's a lot of problems with, as far as like being attacked. So they're just hiding out basically. The first call they were like, don't send anybody up here, don't send anyone else up here, we're pinned down. The first 2 guys were killed pretty much immediately. There was a third that was really injured that I believe is alive still, but is quite injured, but I know very critical, but expected to live. I hope that's true still.
That's the last I've heard anyway.
So then the press conferences start coming in. And I'm actually going to play the beginnings of all 3. So I put them together. I think the police did a fantastic job up there of keeping the public abreast. And also, there's been an insane amount of rumors on social media about who this kid is, where he's from, whatnot. And I think the police do a pretty good job of just being very clear about what they're up to. So let's start here.
Hey, we're going to go ahead and get started. It's approximately 4:35. Today's June the 29th. Everybody okay? Can you hear me okay? Okay, my name is Robert Norris. I am the Sheriff of Kootenai County. This information is very preliminary and is subject to change. We want to give you and the public as much information as quickly as possible. So at approximately 1:21 p.m. this afternoon, we received reports of a fire on the east side of Canfield Mountain. Fire assets responded to the scene, and at approximately 2 p.m. this afternoon, it was reported that firefighters were receiving shots fired at them. We now have 2 deaths. We have an unknown amount of casualties. We still have civilians that are coming off of that mountain. We might have civilians that are stuck or in shock on that mountain. So this is a very, very fresh situation. We are actively taking sniper fire as we speak. This is an active situation. We have multiple agencies that are on scene from local and federal authorities, and we are prepared to neutralize this suspect who is currently actively shooting at public safety personnel. We are prepared to neutralize this suspect as quickly as possible. And that's really all that we know as of right now. We don't know who the suspects are. We don't know how many there are. So I know that it's very, very, very early, and I don't think that any questions would yield anything. But BOCC is Bruce Matari. We have Lieutenant Jess Stinson from the Idaho State Police.
So that jumped. This is the second press conference of the day that came in late last night, about 10:30 our time last night.
We have Bill DeRuyter from the Coeur d'Alene Police Department, and we have Pete Hawley from the Kootenai County Fire and Rescue. And we're going to go through a quick timeline. This is still a very, very fresh investigation, so an incident. So many of these facts might change, but they are evolving as we speak. At approximately 1:21 this afternoon, we received a phone call that there was a fire on the backside or east side of Canfield Mountain. Fire assets responded to the scene, and at approximately 2 o'clock, firefighters broadcast that they were being shot at on Canfield Mountain. During that next hour and a half, where we have assets that are responding to the aid of these firefighters, we still have an active fire. We are managing about 17,000 square foot containment area. We are requesting other law enforcement agencies to assist us. We had a great response. We had the Spokane County Sheriff's Office responded in force, the Spokane Police, the Coeur d'Alene Police Department, the FBI, many agencies responded right here in Idaho, Bonner County, Shoshone County, Kellogg. So we had about 300 law enforcement officers that were on scene that were trying to make heads and tails out of what was occurring. And during this time, we exchanged gunfire with the suspect, and we also got information. We received information from the White House, from Kash Patel, the FBI, from Governor Brad Little, and also Raul Labrador, that anything that we needed, that they would absolutely respond. So we had a lot of assets that came into that command post. And then we had a briefing about 6:30, about 18:30 hours at the command post. And in that briefing, we kind of gave an update to the agencies that this is still an active shooter, and that as soon as this individual could be neutralized, that he should be neutralized and the threat should be eliminated as quickly as possible. At approximately 1940 hours, we did have information that let me back up just a second. We had a cell phone activation that was in the same spot since about 3:16, and that it was in the same area, and we honed in on that cell phone, and we saw that there was a male, appeared to be deceased, with a weapon nearby. So we have currently one dead shooter. Based on the preliminary investigation that was being conducted, keep in mind we had a fire that was rapidly, it was approaching the body, so we had to scoop up that body, and we had to transport that body to a different location. But based on the preliminary information, we believe that is the only shooter that was on that mountain at that time. So there is no threat to the community at this time. Based on the trajectory and based on the type of weapons that this individual had that we could recover, we believe only the one shooter. We did lose a Coeur d'Alene firefighter, and we did lose a firefighter from the Kootenai County Fire and Rescue. We have another firefighter that just came out of surgery from the Coeur d'Alene Police Department. I'm sorry, from the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department, right? Is that true? Okay. He just came out of surgery. He is fighting for his life, but he's in stable condition.
So that was all yesterday. And then a press conference today identifying the shooter.
My name is Sheriff Robert Norris, Norris, and what we'd like to accomplish today here at this press conference is, when you leave here today, I want you to know who the suspect is, know what we know about the suspect right now, I'll give you a fire update of where the fire is right now, and some of the challenges that we had in making a containment on a 3.2 square mile mountain, and to let you know that we had a jumper off of Veterans Bridge, and we'll give you just a little bit of information on that. So the suspect that has been identified by our Kootenai County Coroner's Office, Coroner Duke Johnson there, has been identified as Wess Roley, date of birth of May 1st, 2005. As of right now, and this is all very, very preliminary, we've had a lot of resources at the crime scene. We've been working through the night, so many of these facts are subject to change. We believe that Roley has prior residence in California, Arizona, and Idaho. We believe he was born in California. The Kootenai County Sheriff's Office and Coeur d'Alene Police Department, we've had 5 interactions with Roley. And of those 5 interactions, we've had 3, Coeur d'Alene Police had 2. They're very, very minor in nature. They had to do with more trespassing. He was trespassing at a location. He was asked to leave and he cooperated. We had some welfare checks on Roley, and very, very minor. We don't show any criminal history for Roley. We do have some social media presence for for Roley. I find it disgusting to call him a Mr., but we don't have any much to go on. Here's some of his social media postings that were recently removed from social media. I believe this one was Instagram. And we have some copies of this that Lieutenant Mark Ellis will distribute. Where we're at with the crime scene. The crime scene is active. We still have the suspect's vehicle that is up down an embankment of the mountain. Deputies who responded on scene to protect life and engage the suspect thought it would be in their best interest to get rid of what they thought was Roley's vehicle. So they had the frame of mind to push it over the side so he couldn't come around and get in that vehicle and flee. So we have not been able to find any manifesto. We have not been able to inventory the vehicle, although people that have seen the vehicle do believe it appeared as if he was living in the vehicle. There was a lot of debris that's in the vehicle, so that's all we have on that. Like I said again, we have not verified or found any manifesto. We have not done an inventory of that vehicle. I'd like to give you an update on the fire that we believe Roley started.
Okay, we'll stop it right there. And share a little more about what we know about Wess Roley. This is him. As we know, it was just recently his birthday, and his mom had posted on her Facebook page a happy birthday to him. We also know that he's been living in the Idaho area for a while, since 2024 at some point, but he lived in Arizona, I think, for the better part of his life. He went to a prep academy in Arizona. He ran track a little bit. There's some comments from his classmates coming up online that I thought were kind of interesting. So he went to North Phoenix Prep. He was described as a below average student that would isolate and lash out in anger. One classmate talked about recalling a time when he was really nasty to a teacher. Again, he joined cross country, but his classmates or teammates are saying that he only showed up once in a rare while and didn't really, take it seriously. He was kind of a loner. His grandpa described him as a loner as well. Another student said that he had a notebook that had concerning images of weapons and hate symbols in it. That's terrifying. Another student said that he was verbally aggressive at times, but could be funny. And someone else said that he sent her a bunch of text messages where he called her expletives and said some confusing and upsetting statements to her. And that he could be really nice to you one minute and then be really scary the next.
Yeah.
It appears that he's been struggling for some time. His grandpa says that he typically talked to him at least on a weekly basis. and thought he was doing okay. He said he was working in the trees, in the he called it the tree industry. I'm not sure if that's a tree. It sounded like a tree farm. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but that he loved trees and loved the outdoors and that he wanted to be a firefighter. And now the firefighter, the police departments in, or the fire departments in the Coeur d'Alene area say that he hasn't, that they can tell he hadn't reached out to them searching for a job, but they wondered if that's part of where this was at. I can tell you that becoming a firefighter in these areas is a big
It's a
deal.
big damn deal. Yeah.
You don't just get to apply and get on. You have to be an EMT first, and then you have to go through fire school. And then even if you get hired, they may send you through fire school again uh, before it's all said and done. And I say that because my son's best friend is a firefighter here in Idaho, and he's just been through all of those things.
Well,
And
wildlands firefighters, I mean, it is an extremely taxing and dangerous kind of work.
yeah,
I mean, all firefighting is, but when you're
yeah,
talking fighting wildfires, which is what a lot of these firefighters are trained to do in this state, because we have a
yeah.
lot of them.
hmm
We have a bad fire season coming this year,
We
unfortunately.
do because we're really dry. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and they said later in this press conference, I don't think we heard it, but that they don't know if that was tied to the motive. They just don't know. This is the Instagram post that they were talking about where he said he was going hunting today. This was the picture from yesterday,
What is
earlier
the
in the day.
picture in the middle?
I'm not sure what that is or if that's from someone who shared this. I wasn't sure.
That's weird.
Yeah,
But I
I
mean,
don't
he
know.
certainly looked all camoed up, ready for
hmm
something.
Grandpa said he knows that he had a rifle and a long gun, which I thought were both long guns, but anyway, that he did
They
have,
are.
at least that he knew, a couple of guns. They weren't sure as of yesterday if there were more. They found him with one weapon. They are finally, for a long time they hedged around it, but they're finally saying today that yes, he did take his own life before they made it to him. They had helicopters in the air with snipers trying to get close enough to him.
Yeah.
And in fact,
Oh, it's Bjork, and that's right. Okay, so he was listening
oh,
to,
that's
what was the
right.
Bjork song?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for saying that. Yes, he was listening to a Bjork song um, on
That's right.
Instagram
Mm-hmm.
when he took this picture.
That's right. Yeah. And so, well, if he was up in Coeur d'Alene, they don't that he wasn't there, but maybe he was somewhere rejected from a
Yeah.
fire department. I wondered about that too. This is a picture from Mom's Facebook from 2017. Uh, it
Hmm.
seems like he had been well accustomed to guns. Grandpa said that he liked to hunt wild hogs in his spare time, which probably wasn't happening in Idaho. That he must have been referring to Arizona.
Yeah, that's
But
not something you hunt here, but it would be in Arizona
mm-mm,
for sure.
for sure, yeah, yeah. So, and they have finally just barely released the victims.
Yeah.
So this is Kootenai County Fire and Rescue Chief Frank Harwood on the right, and Coeur d'Alene Fire Department Battalion Chief John Morrison on the left. These are two men that have been public servants for a long time. They're two men that have families, that have fire crews that love them, whole communities that love them. This is a horrible, shocking blow to this
Truly
community
is.
and to our whole state. It's terrifying. It's
Yeah, it
just
is.
terrifying.
He was not adopted from Russia. He was born in California.
Yeah.
There are some very stupid rumors going around about him, and that's one of
Yeah.
them. I'm not even going to say the other one out loud because it's so
No,
ridiculous.
but it's the typical one.
It is. But no, he was born in California.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I saw that I think is important to note is that he'd had several encounters with law enforcement in the area, not criminal
Yeah.
ones, but welfare checks
Yeah.
and issues around trespassing because he was living in that truck
Yeah.
and he was kept parking it on private land and getting kicked off.
Mm-hmm.
And welfare checks, I assume, because people in the community were concerned that maybe he wasn't well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's been
But
living in
none
his
of it that,
truck. Well, his bio dad lives in Priest River.
yeah,
So I kind of got the impression that he came here to live with his bio dad, but then kind of wandered off. I'm not entirely sure.
kind of. And there's a lot we're going to learn over
Yeah.
time. But at least law enforcement had some contact with him, but it hadn't been criminal in
Mhm.
nature. Just kind of concerning that maybe things weren't
Right.
going real great for this guy.
For sure. His parents divorced 10 years ago when he was 10, and court documents make it seem like that was pretty volatile. His dad, there was a restraining order in place because dad had made some threats, told mom that he was going to sit outside her door with a sniper rifle, unfortunately, and also threatened to burn her house down. What a weird theme. So
Yeah.
it does seem like this kid was exposed to some trauma. It does seem like he was probably having some mental health issues and was not well. And we don't know. I maybe we'll never know because it doesn't sound like there was anything on paper. Of course, maybe right. He does have Ethan Crumbly vibes. I thought so too, Natasha.
He
I
does.
did
He's
too.
very
Yeah.
empty-eyed, isn't he?
Hmm.
Squatchaholic, don't you guys have javelinas in Arizona? Aren't those wild pigs? Squatchaholic says, never heard of
Oh,
wild hogs here in Arizona. I
oh,
would.
we ran into some in Sedona, but
That's what I
yeah,
was thinking, but maybe it was a different state. I don't know. It wasn't here because we don't have them.
right. Yeah, we don't. But yeah, I mean, all of his family is just incredibly shocked. None of them thought that he had any kind of capacity to do something like this. And of course, the firefighters never in a million years thought that they'd go up the side of the mountain to fight a fire and take gunfire. It's just
Yeah.
not, it's just so unheard of. Going after
On
first
an
responders,
intentionally
my
set
God.
fire.
Yeah. They said he set the fire with flint.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Very,
Jess said maybe it was Oklahoma when he lived with his grandpa.
oh,
Interesting.
maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a good point.
He's kind of bounced around, it seems like, and been kind of a lost kid. So we'll keep an eye on it. It's just incredibly sad and shocking. There's still a lot for law enforcement to do up there because they haven't even been able to get to his vehicle. And of course, they're still containing that fire. Thank goodness it really hasn't gone too crazy. They've been able to contain it pretty well already. So at least he didn't do a
Yeah.
good job of that. I also just really wonder if how lucky we are that he didn't kill more people. I mean, honestly, it
Well,
so could have happened.
I was talking with a woman today whose dad is a firefighter at the INL here in Idaho Falls, in
Hmm.
the Idaho Falls area, and he was on call to potentially have to go up there. And she said that he kind of didn't do a very good job if he wanted to kill a lot of firefighters, because what happens is they drive up in several vehicles, including fire truck, but other
Hmm.
vehicles. And, the people who were shot were in pickup trucks.
Yeah.
And she said what happens is they kind of get all their vehicles up there and then they get out and kind of huddle up and figure out exactly what they're going to do and make a plan. And she said if he had
Hmm.
waited a few more minutes for them all to get there, he could have shot way more people. But because he shot them while the other trucks were coming up, that he kind of headed them up that something was happening. And so
they were able to tell them
it
not to get
actually
up
saved the
there.
lives of several other people. Yeah.
Right. Wow. He probably just didn't know. But thank God.
But I mean, I can't imagine that this wasn't a plan. He set
Well,
the
he set
fire.
the fire, so
He
it
brought the
had to
first
be.
responders there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the way that he was dressed, he was all in
Hmm.
tactical gear and camo, and he was up in a tree firing at them. Like,
Yeah.
he was prepared for
Yeah.
this.
Yep. It's
Very
just
sad.
unreal. It's just an unreal thing. So, as more info comes in, we'll share it. But that's pretty much what we know at this point. So all of our love to everyone affected by this, but particularly the families of the victims and the battalions of the victims. It's just an incredibly
Yeah, just all
sad
of
and
the first
shocking
responders
situation. Yeah,
in that area. How incredibly scary.
yeah. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to you to the stunning news that came in this afternoon.
Well, y'all know this is one of our favorite pictures to share of Bryan Kohberger because early in his trial, his defense attorney, Ann Taylor, accused the media of taking pictures of Bryan Kohberger's crotch, and
Hmm.
that's all they cared about was pictures of his crotch.
Hmm.
So Katie very nicely made these so that you
Hmm.
could be sure to pay attention.
And I want you to know I had to hunt those down because I don't know what Ann was talking about, but there were no pictures of his crotch.
There
I had
certainly weren't.
I had to zoom in.
So what has been released today is that Bryan Kohberger, it appears, is set to take a plea.
Yes.
The terms of the plea that we know
Hmm.
are that he would plead guilty to the crimes, uh, and that he would agree to a sentence of life in prison, and that he would also agree to not appeal this decision. There was a letter that went out to the families of the victims outlining this particular this plan, basically.
Hmm.
Not everyone is happy about it.
Yeah.
Steve Gonsalves especially is very angry
Hmm.
that he will not be receiving the death penalty. This was posted on his social media today. It's true. We are beyond furious at the state of Idaho. They failed us. Please give us some time. This was very unexpected. We appreciate all of your love and support. I can't imagine what it's like to be one of these families. I can't at
No.
all. I
No.
do, however, think it's unfair to say that the state of Idaho has failed them. They, in fact, caught Bryan Kohberger and now will successfully sentence him to life for these murders. You know, and
And
you
I'm
know how
sure
I
they're
feel
just
about the
in,
death penalty.
yeah, and I'm sure they're just in a state of shock, but this is a tough
I'm sure
one.
they are. It is
Yeah.
a tough one. The thing is, Ann Taylor has been leading up to this.
Oh,
She has tried
definitely.
so many times to get the death penalty off the table and has failed all of them. And she most
Hmm.
recently lost her bid to get an extension on, and delay the trial.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, this was the best possible outcome
Yeah.
for everyone. This was going to be an absolutely monstrous trial.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what the
Yeah.
prosecutor said in the letter that went to the victims' families. We cannot fathom the toll this case has taken on your family. This
Oh.
resolution is our sincere attempt to seek justice for your family. This agreement ensures that the defendant will be convicted, will spend the rest of his life in prison, and will not be able to put you and the other families through the uncertainty of decades of post-conviction appeals.
Hmm.
Now, there is a hearing on Wednesday, which we're going to live stream,
Yeah.
in which he has to officially accept the plea deal. If he doesn't accept it, then it would go
The
right back
trial's
into
back on.
preparation for trial.
Yeah.
But it is very likely that he will. I mean, there's already behind the scenes agreement that he's going to accept this.
Yeah.
And then he will likely be sentenced on late in July. There will be a sentencing hearing. And I'm pretty curious to
Hmm.
hear, as part of the plea deal, is there an allocution? Does he have to admit to the crime publicly? I certainly hope that he does.
Yeah.
It would be, I think, awful for him to not have to admit publicly
Yeah.
what he's done. But we'll see. That's not always the case.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, can the judge decline this? I think it's possible, but I think it's also extremely unlikely.
No, he never would.
Idaho tries real hard to get these cases pled out, and we've seen many of them plead out.
Yeah. Just
Not
Jeremy
the gay
Best just
bells,
recently.
but
Yeah.
Jeremy Wess did recently, this is pretty common because honestly, the trial is massive. They're looking at 3 months.
Yeah.
It's incredibly expensive and labor intensive.
Yeah.
And honestly traumatic for everyone involved, including that jury.
Yeah.
This is a better way. It's also a guaranteed conviction.
Right.
There's no concern that something could turn the jury.
Right. Or that
He
there
will
would something
go
end
to
up in a
prison
hung
forever.
jury or a
Yes.
mistrial or all
Yeah.
the other things that can go wrong in a trial. Also,
Yeah.
because he won't be on death row, he won't have the special privileges that Chad Daybell has, you know?
No,
And I
he will
know maybe
not.
some people don't consider them special privileges, but Chad is not subjected to other people. Kohberger will more likely be in Gen Pop because he's just another inmate.
Yeah.
He has no appeals.
He will be a
He
lifer.
has, yeah,
And to have no appeals,
yeah,
for no one to ever have to show up to an appeals hearing for him
yeah,
in the long run is a huge blessing.
yeah.
Will the evidence be released? Yeah, after
Hmm.
the sentencing, then it will become public record.
Yeah.
Oh yes, it would be without parole. It's a no
Yes.
chance of ever getting out.
Yeah.
Life sentence.
Yeah. No, this just puts a bow on it. It wraps it up. It's done.
Yeah.
When it's done, of course. But
Yeah. Yeah, so we shall see what happens in court on Wednesday. I'm pretty curious to hear because he has to publicly accept the plea deal, and then they will schedule the sentencing hearing for a few weeks away.
yeah. All of our love to the families because we know
Absolutely.
that whether they did or didn't agree with this, still their hearts are ripped out yet again today.
Yeah. Devastating stuff.
I'm really
My hope
grateful
is
for a jury that a jury doesn't have to be impaneled and be traumatized for life by what they were going to see from this trial.
Yeah. Yeah, because that is a whole lot.
Yeah.
Do we know what time on Wednesday? I was just looking at 11. It's 11 a.m. So that's 11 a.m. Mountain Desert time.
Mm-hmm.
Is the plea acceptance hearing, and so we'll stream it. We'll be here talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, this is really important.
Huge. Absolutely huge. I feel like a while
is.
back, one of you asked us if we thought he would plead out, and we were like, nah, he's too arrogant. He'll never plead out. And here we are.
I said I kind of thought he would, but
Did you?
I felt
said
like
no.
I did. And you said no, and I know a lot of people have said, and I think this has got to be a huge ding to his ego. Huge.
Oh, huge.
To admit this. But I think they know at this point that they don't have a winnable case on the defense's side. They just don't, and the prosecution does.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. The DNA evidence was going to sink them. It was.
DNA.
Would it be enough to get a death penalty sentence? I don't know, but
I mean, Idaho is a very pro death penalty state. I wouldn't be at all surprised.
Yeah.
Right. What was his motive? I hope that we can hear some of those things, some of the questions we all have.
Yeah, about why in the world somebody would do something like this.
Yeah.
Right. And right, to get see, I'm still on that, Stella. I still really think that I think this was a serial killer in the making. I think this was just number one, and there would have been more had he gotten away with it. I still believe he was trying to pull off the perfect crime, and he thought he could. With his education and his arrogance combined, he thought he could.
Did Ann Taylor have a hand in getting him to accept the plea? She would have had to, because she's the one that would have presented it to him.
Yeah. How does a lawyer like Ann Taylor feel after this? Like she won.
Like she won. These death penalty attorneys, and Jim Archibald said it in Lori Vallow's trial when he got the death penalty off the table, is that when you are doing a death penalty case, it is a win if your client does not get the death penalty.
Yep.
She has been fighting for that from the very beginning.
Right. She's tried to pull threads throughout the case to create a situation where the judge would have no option but to give her a remedy like taking the death penalty off the table. She just hasn't been able to do it. So
Yeah,
yes, this is
she
best case
hasn't.
scenario for her, that
It really is.
what she will say now is, I saved a man's life. That
At some point, yeah, she
that'll
will
be the
probably say
takeaway.
that.
Yeah.
Now, tonight at 7 p.m. Mountain Desert Time, which is in 12 minutes, Lori Vallow-Daybell's interview done with Nate Eaton of East Idaho News will be released on YouTube. I have set up a chat for us just in our Discord. A lot of people, you're going to want to watch it on East Idaho News, or you're going to want to watch it on Colby Ryan's channel, because he's going to watch it and pause to comment on the things that he hears. I thought maybe a Discord channel would be the best way to also participate with us so that we can chat. So go to our Discord. If you haven't got our Discord, go to truecrimesquad.com. There's a link there. We'll double check and make sure everybody's getting in. And then there is a channel specifically for this interview, and we're just going to chat about it over there. And then tomorrow, Katie and I will do our show. We will do our show on our analysis of this interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so it's quite an Idaho news day, isn't
it?
Right.
It's all Idaho all the time right now. Yeah.
Yeah. For never good reasons, unfortunately, but.
Oh, there was some crazy crime in Rexburg over the weekend. We'll talk about it tomorrow, but the police put out a really interesting. I don't know who's doing Rexburg social media right now, but they're not paying them enough, because it's great.
Yeah. They
really. We had some creepers, so we'll tell you about it. But anyway, we'll probably just see you guys over in Discord, and then again, we'll talk about it tomorrow. So we'll be back at 3 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time tomorrow. And until then, please take good care of yourselves, and thank you so much for being here. This has been yet another production of the True Crime Squad.
Bye, everybody.
Season 6, we're back again. Kristi and Katie, your crime time friends. Stories, justice, laughs collide. True Crime Squad, come join the ride. Grab the clues, let's take a stand. For victims' voices, hand in hand. True Crime Squad, it's time to shine. Season 6, your turn, your time. True Crime Squad, where justice meets hilarity.